among theologians, leadership is kind of a bad word. It's sort of an embarrassing topic that the theologians sort of wish there weren't leadership professors in the seminary. And it's basically a contradiction. It's an oxymoron to talk about Christian leadership, where Jesus himself said, not so with you, as far as ruling over people. And therefore, why do we have this American infusion of a field, of a topic that has to do with that precise thing? That's often the criticism. And I'll just say that let's look at that passage. We see it in various places in the Gospels, but one is Mark 10, 42 to 45, and you have the disciples who are arguing about who's going to be first, who's going to get the rewards, the loot, the spoils, the benefits, the raise, the promotion for their good leadership, their being part of the power structure. And Jesus says, not so with you. The pagans rule over, enjoy authority over one another. They lord it over other people. Their officials exercise authority over others. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to be great must be a servant. And whoever wants to be first must be slave to all. And then he says this about himself. And I think, therefore, yes, let me just stop there and say, yes, it is to be a different kind of influence with a group. It is not to be, what we just described, this kind of lording power over people because I said so, because I can make you do this. That is not what we're to get our jollies off. We are instead to lead by service of bringing a group to accomplish a goal, but we're serving. We're doing it in a selfless way. We're doing it in an altruistic way. We're working with the group as peers. But I do think that you see in this passage, in the last line here, which I'll read, Jesus talking about himself, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. In other words, there's a telos, there's an ends, there's a goal, there's a purpose for his life, and he is making his disciples, his students, his group, think about that larger purpose. And that's often what leaders do, is they keep a group thinking about the larger goal that the group themselves agreed upon, but they've become distracted from. And so I do think that kind of in the technical definition of leadership, having a group accomplish a goal, that is entirely in keeping with what Jesus did, with Christian ethics, with Christian theology, but yes, it is done in a different way. It is not done in a way that is abusive. And it often helps the group to focus on an important end that they themselves agreed upon. So I do not think that just playing the line of, hey, Jesus said, don't rule over people. He said to serve people. I don't think that's the defeater that those people think it is. I appreciate Jesus' influence on Western culture that has reminded us that a king should have ministers, right? Servants, and that rulers should not rule for the joy of ruling others, but for the larger purpose of the group. They should serve. And that has been a contribution to this whole field and understanding of ethics that of leadership that we often take for granted. But I don't think that Christian leadership is a contradiction in terms. And I think we see in Jesus real focus on that goal, and we see him not being a doormat. That's, I guess, the other thing I really want to emphasize here, that oftentimes people think about it as a servant and then or a slave to all, and they take this out of context, and then they're just this doormat who does whatever people ask them to do, and they do that in the name of this verse. But in this verse precisely, Jesus talks about his larger purpose, and that is to reach outsiders, to give his life as a ransom for many. He's got the large world, humanity in mind in this passage. He is not just, oh yeah, whatever you guys say, then I'll serve, I'll do that. And so pastors too, therefore it's okay to not just clean the bathrooms and mow the lawn and shovel the snow, and that's all great to do, to be willing to do that, to step up and do that, but it's also fine to do as Jesus does and to help the group to focus on larger purposes.